Well, greetings, hello, and welcome back again. I'm ImperialJedi, and let's talk transit. Kind of have like metro and buses and trams, just the whole works in my mind here. Kind of thinking about the new Sunset Harbor DLC pieces fitting in here as well. So yeah, last stream we actually did quite a bit of transit stuff, so I thought we'd kind of carry that through with today's little video. Won't be the longest video. I'm trying to get a little bit more focused on this, and I think I've got a good plan for today. But check this out. This bridge here, the goal all along was to have a metro corridor running along underneath it, and we did it. So we're using the Metro Overhaul Mod, and I actually wanted to test that out just a little bit before the Sunset Harbor DLC does come out. And for those of you that do not know, there's going to be kind of like a version of this being added to the base game itself. So now you can go from underground to ground level to elevated metro. And what's cool is if you want to run a few mods, you can maybe get some custom trains. It's kind of fun, right? So right now I'm running a variant of one of the Toronto Transit subways. That's kind of cool. Very nerdy. But yeah, so I thought I'll just show you really quickly the line, right? The idea behind it is we don't really want to take away from a lot of the pre-existing transit corridors. We actually want to add to them and kind of have all of them talking together as a team. So the airport, it really is just kind of like plain Jane. It's just holding this place over here. We know we want to expand in detail eventually, but just for the moment, it's kind of a, yeah, it's kind of an eyesore. But it's functional. So what we're doing now is trying to get people like not using cars essentially, right? So the first step to getting transit is kind of like, you know, access everywhere, right? So now you can get from the airport to our downtown. And you're going to do that via the bridge underneath here. You can stop and transfer over at this station right here, which is elevated. Thought I'd show that off a little bit. And then, you know, from here, if you want, you can switch to the trains. Trains can take you to the small town. They can take you to the backside of the mall over here. This theoretically will eventually take you down to our industrial corridor. We're going to have more living suburbs over here, so maybe a new passenger train line over there too. So yeah, I don't really want the metro to go the exact same pathway as the trains. Because then what are the trains going to do, right? So instead, they'll kind of complement each other, and I'll show you a few different examples how everything kind of just works together as a team. So yeah, Metro just really, really sharp. We've got the depot right here. Thought we'd make a little bit more use out of this, kind of give it some more train yard vibes. And this will be functional too. When we start spawning trains, they actually come right out of here. Trains come in, they go underground, and they make their way into our downtown central station, which is actually broken into 3. So we'll have that line that comes in and ends. We're going to start a new line, which is the middle one, that goes up through here. And that's going to help take a little bit of the stress off the tram corridor going through here. And then that'll remain underground over to here, just because of all the tall buildings. And then my argument would be that it'd be a lot cheaper on the outskirts of town to build above ground infrastructure. So we're going to have maybe a 2-stop coming up to here, and then we're going to hop over the highway, but elevated. And we're going to try and end with an elevated station, just kind of close to this Greyhound bus here. So if you wanted to continue on to the small town, you take the bus. And then my other thought was to kind of beef this up a little bit. And we had really, really, really great comments. And the name totally tipped my tongue. I completely forgot right now. But some gentleman wrote an absolutely like fantastic, detailed, just kind of like a lot about small towns, farming, and everything. So I'm going to use that a lot. So I think what we're going to do is try to make this a little bit more of the manufacturing industrial stuff. And let's have like maybe like a tractor sale depot or something like that too. I don't know if we'll have time for that today. This is kind of like the long-term thought here. We're going to try and focus on transit right now, but just to let you in on the planning. So yeah, Metro is going up to here, and then we can kind of figure out the other part of the city. But let's do a little Metro corridor going through here, and then let's put in some buses and talk a little bit about how transit kind of works as a team here. Okay, so I want a sunken station, and then this is obviously like modded stuff I'm using, but these kind of thought processes will apply to vanilla as well. And I do want you guys to be thinking about Metro, because it's going to be like, you know, front row and center with the new DLC. I just have to have more options because of the Metro Overhaul, right? But okay, let's just toss a station. So you can kind of see, here's the tram, right? So I don't want to take the exact same route of the tram. Otherwise, what is the point of it? Hypothetically, if the tram was like way, way, way overcrowded, or if this is a bus line that's overcrowded, maybe run underneath, right? But we're trying to have the two of them work together. So the tram will take care of this little part, and then the metro will take care of this part over here. We can turn on our anarchy just to get these in, no problem anywhere. Okay, so that's one stop here on one side of the highway, one stop over here just to help support this little village. And then from here, we're going to go on out, become elevated. And only because of the Metro Overhaul mod, some of my subway stations ended up over here. my elevated ones. And what's really cool too is if you are running the Metro Overhaul mod, fun little plug for this, you can convert any train station to a metro station and vice versa. And I have to try it out still, so I'm not really sure, but there's a limited version of this kind of thing coming to the base game. So you should be very excited for that. All right, what do I want here? That's actually kind of a nice one, not what I'm looking for though. I do want one of the elevated ones. Yeah, so I guess we can use this one here, Elevated Island. I'm just gonna click over this because I want it to be Metro. Okay, so there's the bus stop, pretty handy to see that. And I'm just going to delete the roads underneath. So this will be kind of floating over top of all this, and then we're going to pull it as needs be to get it to talk to the road. Easier said than done, right? Now, a lot of these items you can just do a really simple search for in the workshop. Just do Metro Overhaul Mod. That'll come up. And then you can just find elevated stations by, I think these are by Bad Peanut or Bad Idea. Don't remember. But just take a look for, like, elevated single, you know. Not too hard to find stuff in the workshop. If little old me can do it, I think you can do it too, you know. All right, luckily, look at how cool that configuration of the pillars here looks. So that's fine like that. This is actually an ambulance depot. That's kind of cool to have underneath here. They don't really mind the noise. Look at that, dropping off right there. So this will stay as a terminal building. So the trains just come, end here. That's kind of cool that it's a floating terminal. And now let's go in with our rails. Okay, let's pull this over. To be honest, I kind of wish that didn't have to go right over top. You know what? That's not so bad because, hold on, because we have the pillars that straddle like that. So we have two options here. I didn't have the right anarchy on, so the pillars didn't pop up. We can pull these over until they do, and then when we go back, we pull the pillar. That works. Or we can just copy paste a pillar and put another one in wherever we want it. And that's just movement mod right there. That's cool. Okay, so we got to find a way to maybe go in through here and then sneak underground right around here. This is going to be a tall order. No pun intended. In the words of Oscar Wilde, nothing says success. We could try. It's just like having part of it elevated would be kind of cool for a second, right? So my thought is maybe we can pull on the curve right here. So why don't we go over, bank, go underground this way, and then bend in. Let's try that out. Because here's the station here. That may have to move a little bit. Considering the value of your wardrobe is a great way to remind yourself of your inner value. Here's a funky track to get you in that organizing mood. This is Synthetic Dawn Radio. I don't want it too far away from the tram, because that's going to discourage having the line sharing. We want them to be close enough that the Sims here can walk back and forth between the two. Okay, why don't we toss that just right here? Still close enough, I'd argue, that you can definitely get accessible tram access. A parking lot, too, which kind of makes a little bit more sense for that. Okay, here's going to be the impossible. You know what? The way that actually just went through, maybe we're giving ourselves a helping hand here. Let's get underground. Because, yeah, what if our curve just ended up going the other direction? You know, Metro, they're tiny, it's flexible, we can do this kind of stuff, right? So the trains, they're essentially a very long distance, capable of carrying a lot of people, heavy mover, right? In real life, trains take a while to get up to speed. You know, they are expensive to lay the rail, especially in modern times. A lot of infrastructure is not really being placed these days. So you'll instead have a light rail option as kind of like your main conduit for travel. And what's cool too, and just thinking about the new DLC, right? If you're looking for like a light rail kind of corridor, you can maybe start off with the trolley buses. Or you can even start off with regular buses. And so yeah, a city budget, right? As the city grows, and we can even think about our small town, for example, right? The small town's got like the one main street, right? I don't really think it would be justifiable to put a metro up there. Not enough population to use it. You know, so how would it pay for itself, right? Just kind of like in real life. But what you could do though is your main street, hypothetically, you could run a a dedicated lane down the middle that's say buses only, and that dedicated lane, say like just down this main street, right? That dedicated lane could have overhead trolley wires, which is the first step for the electrified system, right? And then if that becomes popular and the trolley buses start to fill up, you can switch to a tram, which is like a longer, a little bit more efficient form of transit, right? The middle can become, tram-only tracks. And that theoretically is kind of like light metro, right? So that's kind of the stepping stone for that. And you can make that same kind of argument for jumping up a metro to a train, right? But anyway, I don't really know where I was going with that, but just to kind of like think about like densities and whatnot, right? So I feel like I had a point there. I think it kind of made sense, sort of. But just again, think of like the story and how it ties into real life, right? Like you really wouldn't have like rails going everywhere because it's so expensive. You might have a lot of old industrial rails be converted for passenger, but in a modern city, you might not necessarily lay too much new heavy rail. You might divert some stuff around, which is not impossible to think about. And so the majority of the time you're building light rail like this, or underground trams that would kind of like serve as the same like almost purpose, right? And then like I was saying just in the first bit there, like, so trains are your heavy, large-scale movers. They do take a while to get up to speed. You can't really have tight turns or tight banks. Like this is very, oh boy, that's borderline, right? You just definitely cannot do this in a train. Plausible to do it in a metro because the metros are shorter. They don't take as long to get up to speed as well, so you can get away with having stations closer together too. So yeah, in the grand scheme for your city, right? I feel like I'm all over the place with this, but your trains are going to kind of do maybe like 1 or 2 wide corridors. They'll get a lot of people moving from one end of the city to the other. The metros, the stops will be closer together, and it's that same principle idea. You're doing heavy-duty people movers, but stops being closer together means you can get a little more convenience, right? So the trains get you from one end to the other of the city. You know, you might come in from the small town by train, get downtown, then maybe take the metro up in 2 stops, right? So it's all of them kind of working together. You wouldn't use trains everywhere. You wouldn't use metro everywhere. It wouldn't be, feasible everywhere either, right? So first that realism factor, right? And then things like your surface vehicles, like buses and to a certain extent your trams, you're going to use those to get people to and from the metro and the train stations. Because the train stations are pretty much only as effective as your proximity to either work or living to one, right? So if you live across the street from a train station and then you work across the street from another train station, you're going to use it. But if it's more convenient for you to drive than it is for you to take transit, you're going to drive, especially in city skylines, right? So what you want to do is have some like regional, local bus routes and stuff to help extend the range of your undergrounds and dedicated transit lanes. I'll kind of show you what I mean by that too. So wherever there's a like a transit stop, metro, that kind of stuff, you can kind of see like over here, right? We're using now this Greyhound bus stop here to kind of extend the range of the metro. So the metro is very effective now because you can get to the small town, get to it a different way. And you're doing that from a combination of maybe walking, getting to a metro, taking a bus to that first metro, taking the metro up here, and then switching over. So that principal idea right here. Just like over here, right? Let me get the transit view up. So the tram, we're coming in, we're encouraging line sharing, and then maybe one step further is you get one little tiny bus asset and one community bus. Maybe spawn 2 buses, we go in a little circle around here, just double loop it. I definitely think this is far enough to walk, so you don't really need that, but just, maybe this is one extra block or 2. And like here, for example, the metro's going down the right-hand side, we got the tram on the left, who's covering the middle. So maybe we have a little community bus that does a little loop like this, connects the 2 together, gets more interconnectivity between it all. Another one that kind of makes the loop through here, right? So let's just start putting some of those in. We'll see how it actually all unfolds. And in terms of like, what do you lay first, right? When you're making your big city, the highways and the rails are probably going to be in first, right? Trams, you might see some trams inside, some of your bigger streets. I just lost a tree there. So for the most part, sorry, get the heavy infrastructure in first, and then plan some of this stuff around it. Oh, that almost lines up perfectly with that. Oh, that's cool. So I do actually want one more stop just in here. I think we actually oh no, we didn't bypass it. There it is. Oh, cool. All right, so let's put it in the line, and I'll show you guys how we can use improved public transit too to get some custom vehicles on our line. Wherever the line is, there it is. So let's start here. You can actually start on either side of the track. So if you wanted to have multiple lines through, I think this is just because of improved public transit too. Possibly it's this asset. I don't think that's base game though. Maybe it's also Metro Overhaul Mod. I don't know. I have a lot of mods running. Luckily, a lot of this is underground, but yikes, that's a little tight, eh? So we'll just end this off. I'm going to go ahead and just pause the game really quick so we can watch everything in action, right? It'll be really fun. So let's remove the 3 vehicles, so they're going to be kind of a random one. I don't have very many downloaded, right? So I've only got the couple custom ones. I'm going to be using the T1 version of a Toronto Transit vehicle. So I'm going to add, let's say 5 of them. And then we can kind of go from there, right? If we need more, we'll keep an eye on the stations. And so we're going to go over to our depot, which we can find in our soon-to-be finished rail yard one day, coming soon trademark. And the Metropolitan Depot just spawns the trains, eventually. If, actually this might be a good example. If this doesn't want to work, because Improved Public Transit 2 is sometimes a little bit finicky. So if I go back and I click on the new line we just created, oh, no, I'm just, all right, back everything up. This is very embarrassing. I forgot that these two aren't actually connected. So of course there's no way for the trains to get from one side to the other. So this maybe gives us an opportunity to create a little bypass line and a new metro corridor that maybe has 2 stops that goes from here over to here. And then we can get access over to there too. Oh boy, that's a little embarrassing. Well, I'm glad we figured that out quickly. Otherwise this could have been a kind of a circular 10 minutes here. All right, well, let's maybe take the same kind of approach where we start to cut in once we cross the river. So like that can be the underground entrance right here. And again, we're just trying to work with like pre-existing infrastructure. We're going to find, you know, some symmetrical lines that are already existing. We're going with the road and the bridge here, and then it's going to sneak on through and get in. And then also provide access to the garage, which is pretty important. By the way, guys, in the past, like I'm trying to get better with this, and I feel like this video is all over the place, even though I tried harder. But in the past, honestly, I would have just stopped the video and then probably just redone all of this, maybe not even saved it. And then I get, you know, I'll maybe sometimes even do that 2 or 3 times in the course of a day. Like it's preposterous, right? But I just enjoy having like that one take approach to making the videos. I don't know how to explain it. I just feel like I enjoy that. But sometimes it takes me like 20 takes to get that, you know? So these days I really am trying just to kind of like let things roll, you know? So this video, since you're watching it, obviously made its way out, right? But just kind of like giving you a little bit of my thought process, right? That kind of stuff, I'm just like, oh, it's killing the momentum. What do we do with ourselves? I don't even connect this. So I'm trying to just roll a little bit more with the punches. And maybe kind of help you guys deal with that kind of stuff too. Because a lot of people, you know, I don't know. You're either intimidated to start cities, you don't know how to finish them, or something. But sometimes people just hit like writer's block. All right, I'm just going to pause. I think we severed a line here. Okay, let's use the movement mod. Let's try and fix all this, make it look nice, but oh boy. So a straight line like that coming in would be pretty sharp. I don't know if it's achievable. That's a really, really tight turn here. Yeah, see, if we straighten that out, we lose the ability to actually turn. So let's maybe do the slightest bank in and over. And I'm just holding down left alt, and I'm trying to get movement mod to just be like, here you go. Here's the way. This is the way. Man, Mandalorian, that was a good show, wasn't it? I was a little bit late to watch that. It's kind of fun when you just save a show and then you can binge watch it all in one weekend. Man, that was worth it. All right, so we just rotated the pillar here. These should be wide enough to go over top of the road. If I can grab it again. There we go. And again, just movement mod here. Doesn't have to be perfect, as long as there's a little bit of that placement. Looks like we're trying to hold that up. If we think that's preposterous, we can just get rid of it. Okay, that's nice and straight now. And then once we basically take it off pause, we should see the new vehicles spawn. Yeah, you know what? It's not bad. It's just not really that great though. It's almost like a shame that we can't move that back like a 1/4 inch. Like, could we? No, it's a tight approach here. All right, let's exaggerate that a little bit more, and then let's get back into the straight line again. Yeah, getting there. Okay, that's actually not too bad. Not too bad at all. It's interesting how it's pulled the other pillar over like that. I would argue that we don't need them both, but they're kind of cool like that. All right, how do we get rid of that guy? Yeah, almost like that, right? Okay, let's move the power line over. Just stop at the clipping here. Not perfect, but just for the sake of progress in the video, let's just get her going. So we should now see the vehicles spawn from our depot. Please, oh please. And if not, then sometimes what you have to do with improved public transit too is actually either redo the line or restart your game. And that 9 out of 10 times will fix it. Oh, here we go, here we go. Also time, the great healer. So vehicles get spawned. They should now make their way through here, swing a right, and then make their way onto that new line we just created. Cool. And I'll just kind of clean all this up just to make this look a little bit nicer, but principally, here's the idea, right? Cool. All right, so let's get some buses in here, and then let's wrap things up. Just a little more chit-chat about transit. So again, it's kind of going to with what I was saying before. The buses are now going to try and help extend the range of these metros. Because if you don't live or work right across the street from this one, it's kind of, it's helpful, but it's like not really helpful, right? So let's pick up people here. Let's maybe do a quick little loop through this spot, and then we'll get close to maybe some of the other pre-existing transit lines to encourage some line sharing. But our aim here is to maybe make our way through corridors that don't already have transit. This will be busy because of the trams, so maybe we put the bus stop on that side. These are kind of close together, so maybe we get rid of that one. You know, in your bus stops, you just want to be like 1 or 2 blocks or so away. Just like real life, like how far are you really willing to walk, right? Usually 1 or 2 blocks, that's not too bad. And again, just to encourage a little bit of line sharing. And then in regards to your buses, right, you can do a couple things here. You can have 2 lines that will serve the same area. So we'll go over the buses in just 1 second. This is one style approach, right? The thing though, right, is if you're getting on the bus, say like right here, and you want to get off at this stop, you have to take the whole circuit. And if this was longer, it wouldn't be efficient, right? So you want to have a second bus line that's going to be working the other side of the street for you. Right? So this way you get both sides covered. We're stopping off close to a metro, which is encouraging people to take the metro. We're line sharing, and so there we go. We'll put the custom vehicles on that in just 1 second. Let me just show you really quick a different version of doing a bus. So it'll be a line that falls back on itself, and maybe we'll have that one come from over here. So start a new line. Just pop on up over here. This is a little excessive just for this area here, but for the sake of the video, right? And all I'm trying to do is just cover a little bit more areas, maybe go a bit of a different direction than the previous routes went. And I still want to encourage the line sharing. So maybe we can move either this stop a bit closer to the metro right here. And then maybe the second stop can be a little bit closer to these guys here. And we'll just hit over at this shopping mall. And then this is our second option, right? So instead of having two lines serve the same area, let's now fall back on ourselves. We'll go around the block, and we're going to hit both sides of the street now. And then same idea as before, we're going to stop near the Metro to encourage the sharing. A bit of a different route through here, simply because of the one-way option. But principally same idea, right? We're in the same ballpark. Stop back down here, and then we'll go in here to complete the loop. And that's that. All right, so to show you how to do the custom vehicles, let's remove these again. This is, once again, Improve Public Transit 2, IPT2. And really, really cool. You can set line colors. You can copy paste your hexadecimal color coding. You can adjust and change like ticket prices and stuff. Way more options. You can see the spacing a little bit more efficiently. You can see the people waiting and whatnot. And this is where you find your custom vehicles, all the ones you download. So who do we want? GM new look. Let's grab a couple of these guys. This is how you go for like a uniform vehicle fleet. And these will get spawned from the, you know, from your garage. We can click on a pre-existing bus line because we're trying to get a matching color here. So we just copy paste this. Here's our new line. Cool. So there you go. And then, you know, feel free to obviously interchange all this stuff, right? But principally the idea is you want something that's either in a dedicated lane, you know, not getting interfered with road traffic, to kind of get people moving through really like long distances through the city, right? And you can do that through rails. You can do that with a dedicated bus lane, like an express lane, dedicated tram tracks. And then the idea too, right, is don't just have any one type of transit serve the whole city, right? All of them working together. You know, for examples, right, we've got road access to our airport. Underneath that is a metro. The metro takes you into this little hub here. The hub you can switch over to rail. Rail takes you in different places than the metro would. There's buses, there's trams. So it's all of them kind of working together as a web and a network to extend the range. And because we've got vehicles and corridors that are separated from road traffic, we're not going to be slowed down by them, and we can kind of like, yeah, get people to like encourage them to take transit a little bit more frequently, because it'll be, yeah, a better route overall for them. And then as long as we're not really kind of stepping on too many of each other's toes, you'll see multi-type usage. So we'll see the trains get used, we'll see the metro get used, we'll see the buses get used, we'll see the conversions happening where people are getting off the metro and switching over, the line sharing. And it's all of it together. You know, the buses here extend the range of the metro. This metro is extended because of the line sharing we've done along the way. So I'll talk a lot more about trans as we go. I feel like I kind of just threw a whole bunch of stuff out here at once. I hope this makes sense though, and I hope this helps someone out there. And yeah, look out soon, guys. We got a new series starting very shortly. We got the new Sunset Harbor DLC coming out this week, and a new vanilla Let's Play. It'll be all comprehensive. We'll start off fresh. It'll kind of be like a vanilla tutorial guide, and we'll break into all the DLCs. And honestly, I'm looking so forward to the new DLC. It's been a while. This feels like kind of like Mass Transit 2.0 coming out, so that has me like very excited. Yeah, this is really cool. Let me know what you think, guys. A little bit slow to respond to comments. There's just like a quadrillion of them, but I really appreciate you guys dropping your thoughts. And yeah, we'll see you again. Pop into the live stream. We'll see you in the new series. And I hope you're having a great day. Stay hydrated. Stay healthy. Wash your hands too. Goodness gracious me. City, looking good. Where did we start? We started with this view here. Let's go back to that. I like this a lot, guys. Thank you very much for everything. You've been a wonderful, just, you fill my sails with wind. I don't know. What am my analogy here? We're hitting the high seas. You guys are the lighthouse in the storm. You fill my sails. You're the momentum. You guys are wonderful. So I really appreciate you being so awesome. It's getting this content out faster. So let's keep on going. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day.